7 bone-chilling wilderness horror stories that haunt you forever. Are you brave enough? The wind howled like a pack of wolves, twisting around the ancient trees, throwing shadows so thick they seemed to breathe. Deep in the wilderness, a dark secret lay hidden, wrapped in a chilling embrace of fog and whispers. Legend spoke of campers who vanished without a trace, swallowed whole by the forest's ominous grip. Others claimed to hear screams piercing the stillness, echoing off the mountains, a maddening reminder that something was not right. The air crackled with an unnameable fear, the kind that sends shivers straight down your spine and clogs your throat with dread. A group of friends, a feisty mix of thrill-seekers, decided to test their limits amongst those very trees where so many had trembled in terror. They laughed and joked, all too oblivious to the cannabis haze that hung around them like a thick blanket. But the deeper they ventured, the more the laughter faded, replaced by a gnawing unease. It was then that they stumbled upon a clearing, an unnatural circle devoid of life, the ground stained with what looked like dark, old blood. A chill snaked through their spines like icy fingers as they whispered to each other, unsure if they were ready to play in a game that stopped being funny the moment they felt the eyes watching them. One friend, Jenna, felt a deep knot form in her stomach, as if the world around them turned on its head. As darkness fell, the forest came alive with unnatural sounds, crunches of leaves and snapping twigs underfoot, the chilling rustle that felt too much like breathing. They lit a campfire that flickered wildly, casting a glow over their anxious faces. Each glance toward the tree felt heavier, laden with dread. They shared stories, but instead of laughter, the air thickened with fear, a story of a hiker who had never returned, and something far worse lurking on the edge of their campfire's timid warmth. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Just then, a scream cut through the night, raw and agonizing, sending shockwaves of terror rippling through the group. The fire flickered and dimmed, casting elongated shadows that danced maliciously among the trees. Jenna's heart raced, pounding in her chest as her hands trembled. They all froze, paralyzed by a primal fear. What direction was it coming from? The forest, once a backdrop for stories, now seemed a living entity, a predator cloaked in darkness. One friend suggested checking it out, but the others shot him down, their faces reflecting a shared panic. But curiosity is a dangerous flame, isn't it? As they sat there, each second dragging on, the urge to know the source of that sound gnawed at them like a cruel parasite. Suddenly, the earth trembled. Was it a footfall? Something shifted in the shadows, and then they saw it, a glimpse of pale skin against the dark bark of a tree. Was it a person? Or something else entirely? The air thickened with tension as they exchanged terrified glances, and just as fear ignited courage in one of them, the unmistakable sound of laughter echoed ominously, sending them all running for their lives. What had they awakened in those sinister woods? The panicked breaths of the group rushed through the thick night air as they bolted away from the flickering flames of their fire. Jenna led the charge, adrenaline pumping through her veins, each footfall crunching against the forest floor like thunder in the deafening silence. She didn't dare look back, didn't want to see whatever foul thing lurked in the shadows. "Where are we going?" shouted Mark, his voice trembling. His eyes darted everywhere, searching for an escape from their rapidly unraveling reality. Just keep moving." Jenna shot back, her mind racing. She could hear the laughter, a chilling, unsettling giggle that seemed to mock their fear, dancing through the trees like a taunt. It cut through the darkness, wrapping around them like a sinister embrace. They had to get away. As they veered off the path, branches lashed against their skin, snagging clothes and tearing into flesh, yet they pressed on, driven by sheer terror. The forest was alive, as if it was conspiring against them. Each rustle in the undergrowth felt like a heartbeat, drawing closer. "Maybe we can find the car," Jenna suggested, breathless. Panic edged into desperation as they stumbled through the thick undergrowth. The trees felt like a maze, their twisted branches clawing at them like souls longing for freedom. Suddenly, Jenna tripped, tumbling forward. She gasped, catching herself just in time. The ground beneath her revealed a shallow pit, the earth broken and dark. "Guys! Over here!" She called, a flicker of hope igniting in her chest. They huddled around her, a moment of resolve setting in. If they could find the pit's edges and follow it, maybe it would lead them back to familiar ground? Gingerly, they made their way down. The air grew colder, heavier. Jen shivered, the weight of impending dread creeping closer. With trembling hands, she illuminated the pit with her phone flashlight. The light caught something: bones. Piled haphazardly, scattered remnants of those who had come before them. Her heart sank, and a scream clawed at her throat, but she swallowed it down. "We need to get out. Now." But before they could scurry back, a rustle echoed through the trees behind them, followed by that laughter, this time louder. It rang like shattered glass, feelers creeping into their minds, no longer able to ignore the absolute horror that loomed behind them. "Run! Now!" Mark urged, and the moment shattered like a fragile dream. They bounded up the side of the pit, a stampede of limbs and fear, but the weight of dread bore down on them. The underbrush clawed at their legs. Jenna could feel something, a dark presence inching closer, hunger radiating from it as if it fed off their fear. As they neared the edge of the clearing, the laughter stopped, replaced by an eerie silence. The kind that settles into your bones, that kind that warns you something is wrong. They hesitated, glancing back into the suffocating darkness. Shadows slithered around them, teasing their senses. Then came the whisper, soft yet chilling, "Stay just a little longer." In that moment, realization flooded over Jenna like icy water. They were being trapped. They had to break free, but every instinct warned her to stop. The forest could not be ignored. With a burst of courage, she pushed herself forward, leading the charge toward an unseen path. "This way!" she shouted with a fierce determination, her heart pounding louder than ever, praying it wouldn't be too late. But behind them, the darkness stirred again. An unspeakable entity was watching. Would it let them escape? Or was it merely toying with them, waiting for the moment when hope slipped away entirely? As Jenna and her friends rushed toward what they believed to be freedom, the trees whispered their secrets, and the dark watched, waiting. What choice would they have to make to survive? The air grew thick with tension as Jenna and her friends ducked into a narrow, twisting trail that seemed to shrink around them. Each footstep felt like an echo on the canvas of silence stretching behind them. Shadows flitted among the trees, the laughter now a cruel melody that gnawed at the edges of their sanity. "Are we even going the right way?" Mark panted, his chest heaving. His eyes darted again, darting from tree to tree, betraying a wild flicker of doubt. Jenna's heart sank. How could they know? The woods had become a labyrinth, a place where the rules of survival seemed distorted under the weight of that omnipresent dark. "Trust me. Just keep moving." Jenna's voice came out sharper than intended, fear and urgency slicing through her words. She tried to anchor herself to her friends, pushing through the rising tide of desperation. As they pressed deeper into the foliage, the thick branches twisted menacingly, intertwining overhead like fingers closing in. The path ahead forked into two, each direction cloaked in shadows as if hiding the truth. She hesitated, then pointed left. "This seems right." But the brief pause felt like an eternity. A low growl echoed from behind them, low but menacing. It curled around Jenna's spine, igniting her instincts. They weren't just running from darkness, something was hunting them. "We are not safe here," shouted Lisa, looking back with wide, terrified eyes. A flicker of light darted between the trees, a fleeting glimpse of something pure nightmare. "Run!" Jenna yelled. Fear gave them wings, propelling them forward through the dense undergrowth. Jenna could feel the unseen threat closing in, the dread gnawing at her confidence. The laughter resumed, a macabre rhythm that matched the frantic pounding of her heart, but then, out of nowhere, a piercing scream sliced through the night. It came from behind them, from where they'd just been. Curling in on itself, it spoke of loss and despair. Jenna didn't dare to look back. The instinct to survive was powerful, accurate. They stumbled into a small clearing, and a flicker of moonlight broke through the trees. For a brief moment, they caught their breath, panting, glancing at each other wide-eyed. Was it over? Had they actually escaped? "Did you hear that?" Mark whispered. His voice trembled. The laughter had faded again, replaced by an unsettling stillness that felt like a heartbeat suspended in time. Jenna could feel the weight of something unseen pressing down on them, as if the forest itself had paused to witness something extraordinary. "Something is coming," Lisa breathed, her eyes darting nervously around. Would they dare move? "The path," Jenna said suddenly. "Maybe we can find it again." The idea was silly, reckless even. But in that moment, it seemed like a flicker of hope. They turned toward the edge of the clearing, just as the laughter began again, only this time it was layered, echoing as if coming from more places than they could comprehend. "Guys," Jenna murmured, clenching her fists, "we need to go now." But then a shadow shifted behind them. It rose taller than a man, limbs long and wiry, and the laughter intensified into a haunting chorus. Whatever it was more than just an entity. It was alive, and it hunted them for sport, for the thrill. "Run!" Jenna screamed, her voice cracking under the weight of sheer terror. They darted into the shadows once more as the creature surged toward them, its presence making the very air crackle. Jenna pushed through the branches, barely feeling the cuts tearing at her skin. Losing themselves in the darkness was no longer an option. The forest had other plans. Just when she thought they had a chance to escape, a branch snapped, and they froze. What if it wasn't just her imagination? What if they were already too late? The whispering returned, softer now but more insistent. "Stay with us." What choice would lead to salvation? Which path would ensure their survival, or was every decision a step toward doom? They stood there, caught between flight and fate. As the darkness closed in once more, would they escape before it swallowed them whole, or would the forest keep its latest victims, feeding off their fear forever? Jenna's heart raced, pounding against her ribs like a caged bird desperate to escape. Every footfall felt heavy, as if the very ground beneath her was pulling her back, holding her in place. Just inches away, the shadows writhed, whispering sweet promises of rest and safety that felt more like death than sanctuary. "Jenna, what do we do?" Mark's voice trembled, barely above a whisper, tinged with raw panic. The forest seemed to pulse around them, closing in like a predator ready to strike. Before she could answer, the laughter returned, louder and more chaotic than before. It was as if the trees themselves were mocking them, celebrating the feast that was soon to unfold. Jenna wanted to scream back, "We're not afraid." But her voice caught in her throat, swallowed by the suffocating dread. "Forward. We need to keep moving." She finally forced out, forcing her legs to respond. Glancing back, she saw the shadow shifting, limbs extending, growing closer. What even was it? Shredded branches seemed to bleed into its shape, swirling with every flicker of moonlight. It wasn't just hunting, they were the playthings in a wicked game. They sprinted into the dense thicket, branches snagging their clothes, clawing at their skin like the claws of the damn thing that pursued them. Lisa stumbled, a sharp gasp escaping her lips as she fell, skinning her hands on the rough bark. Jenna's instinct screamed to keep going, but she couldn't abandon her friend. "Help me!" Lisa cried, panic laced deep in her voice. Mark hesitated, torn between staying to help and fleeing the looming darkness. "Just grab my hand," Jenna shouted, her heart racing as she extended her arm toward Lisa. But the sound of snapping twigs sent a chill racing down her spine. In an instant, decision was taken from them as cold, bitter air washed over their backs. Something loomed near, a shiver of anticipation coursing through the night. It sensed weakness, and it thrived on it. "Go!" Mark yelled, and Jenna could see determination in his eyes. With one swift motion, he dashed forward, grabbing Jenna's arm and hauling her along with him. She took one last glance at Lisa, who was scrambling to regain her footing, fear painted stark over her face. As they plunged deeper into the underbrush, twisting and turning to escape the unseen threat, the air thickened with a sharp, rotten stench. Jenna's stomach churned. The woodland was alive with sounds, unfamiliar rustles and quiet whispers that clawed at her sanity. "Stop!" Mark suddenly halted, his breath hitching. They were in another clearing, this one larger but sinister, a pit of silence illuminated by eerie light filtering through the branches. "What is it?" Jenna asked, panic still catching up to them. I thought I saw something," Mark stammered, gazing toward the edge of the clearing where the shadows seemed to twist more violently. But before Jenna could voice her fears, a figure emerged, gaunt and hunched, its eyes gleaming with a wicked intelligence that sent a stark warning through Jenna. This was no mere forest creature. "Stay with us," it hissed, words dripping like venom from its twisted lips. Terror gripped Jenna's heart, constricting it harder than ever. The creature stepped forward, revealing its jagged teeth and crooked grin. She could sense it was hungry, starved for their fear. "Run!" Jenna screamed once more, her feet moving before her mind could catch up. Forward! Into the unknown, but with every desperate leap, the laughter echoed louder, and an unsettling certainty crept in. They were not just lost, they were being led into a trap, a feast orchestrated by something older and darker than they could comprehend. As they sprinted on, the shadows behind them pulsated, dancing like flames waiting to engulf them. They could hear it now, a chorus of voices beckoning from the dark. What if it's too late?" Mark gasped, glancing back once again, the hint of despair creeping into his voice. Jenna gritted her teeth, determined. "We can't think like that. It has to end." But in that moment, she felt something catch at her ankle, and she stumbled forward, hitting the ground with a hard thud. As darkness encircled her vision, that wicked laughter rang against her ears, drowning out the other horrors of the night. Had they really entered a nightmare, or was this the night that would change everything? The forest awaited their next move, ready to swallow them whole, or perhaps, it was their salvation that lay ahead. Would they dare find out? Jenna felt the ground rush up to meet her, a jarring collision that sent shockwaves through her body. Her breath hitched, air escaping her lungs as her vision narrowed. She blinked away the darkness, panic clawing at her throat. "Jenna!" Mark's urgent voice pierced the haze. He was a blurry figure, shifting and swirling, dimly illuminated under the moonlight. "I'm okay, I think," she stammered, forcing herself onto her knees. Pain shot through her ankle, the throb merging with the echo of that wicked laughter that filled the air, creeping into her mind. She sucked in a shuddering breath, trying to clear the fog of fear. "Get up. We can't stop," Mark urged, his face lined with desperation. He glanced back, and terror etched deeper into his features. "It's coming." Jenna pushed against the wet earth, urgency fueling her movements. She shot to her feet, adrenaline thrumming in her veins. They had to find safety somewhere, anywhere away from that thing. "Where's Lisa?" Jenna frantically scanned the clearing, the steady pulse of fear threatening to undo her focus. "I don't know." Mark's voice cracked. "We have to keep moving." An uneasy silence descended, only to be broken by the rustling underbrush struggling beneath something unseen. Mark grabbed Jenna's wrist, pulling her toward the edge of the clearing. "Come on," he urged, glancing back one last time. The shadows were swirling like a dark storm, palpable and hungry. The two dashed down a narrow path carved between towering trees, their branches clawing at them, as if in warning. Each hard breath pulled at Jenna's chest, the rotten stench returned, stronger now, it lingered like a warning. "Jenna!" Mark suddenly stopped, yanking her to a halt. "Listen." A muffled voice. Eager but muffled, it floated through the thick air, beckoning them gently, luring them back into the depths of the dark thicket. "Help! I'm over here." Lisa's voice. Jenna's heart leapt at the sound. "Lisa!" she shouted, her own voice shaky yet fervent. They pushed further into the darkness, shadows scrambling away from them, retreating into the unknown. "Where are you?" Mark called, a mixture of hope and dread in his tone. The calls mingled with the whispers of the trees, the forest around them echoing each sound. But with Lisa's voice came something else, a low, dreadful growl that sent chills creeping up Jenna's spine. "Jenna, what if it's a trap?" Mark's eyes glimmered with fear. She hesitated, battling the instinct to rush toward her friend. "Maybe it's not safe," Jenna whispered, her heartbeat drumming fingers of worry through her. But the growling intensified, a creature lurking close, sensing the shift in their resolve. Jenna bit her lip, torn. Almost instinctively, she glanced over her shoulder, and in that moment, shadows flickered by. The first inkling of realization hit. This was the game it was playing with them. "Jenna, we need to move now." Mark boomed, comprehension dawning in his expression. Yet the sound of Lisa's cries was like an anchor, tethering Jenna. "Help me." It was closer now, more desperate. With a surge of resolve, Jenna tugged on Mark's arm, her mind racing. "We can't leave her. We have to find her." "Are you crazy?" Mark hissed, fear melding with frustration. "We'll be next." But Jenna's heart didn't waver. It was a risk worth taking. "If we don't," before she could finish, darkness swayed, shadows thickening, warping into something grotesque, emanating a sound that resembled laughter. This time it was closer, more real, echoing through the trees. "Now!" Mark shouted, his grip tightening. He pulled Jenna toward where Lisa's cries echoed, each sound pulling them further into the unknown. "Wait! I'll find her!" she cried as they moved deeper into the forest, only to be confronted by a spiraling dread with every desperate step. The undergrowth twisted like alive, threatening to ensnare them, but it was then, as they had crossed the threshold into oblivion, that the laughter transformed. It morphed into something sinister and familiar, echoing the very marrow of their souls. "Run if you wish, but the woods have already chosen you." The words slithered through the air, gripping Jenna with paralyzing fear. They were trapped, and that laughter was a promise of what was to come. "Jenna," Mark murmured, breathless with despair, staring into the consuming darkness. "What if we can't find her?" The shadows loomed larger, wrapping around them like a noose. Jenna's heart raced anew, igniting with fierce determination. They had to break free from this twisted fate, but as the weight of the forest bore down, she wondered, were they simply pawns in a monstrous game? And would they ever escape? They pressed on, heartbeats echoing in the heavy silence, every rustle sending fresh jolts of adrenaline through their veins. Fear twisted inside Jenna as they moved deeper into the darkness. The shadows thickened, almost tangible, as if they were alive, stretching out their tendrils to ensnare the unwary. "Lisa!" Jenna called again, desperation flickering like a candle on the brink of extinguishing. But the forest swallowed her voice, the night holding its breath. Mark trailed close, eyes darting around as if the very air held conspiracies. "We're wasting time, Jenna. We need to find a way out, not get dragged deeper." "No. We're not leaving her." She couldn't shake the mental image of Lisa's terrified face. "We have to try." But each step felt like wading through thick molasses, the suffocating darkness pressing against her. With every mark of their passing a snapped twig, a disturbed leaf came that echo of laughter, mocking, disdainful. Ahead, the path twisted, purposefully leading them deeper into the maw of the forest. The trees bent as if conspirators, their branches intertwining into a canopy that swallowed the moonlight. Yet there, just ahead, the flickering remnants of hope, a pale glow radiated from a small clearing. "Look!" Jenna pointed, her heart racing at the flickering glow. Maybe we can find her there. Mark frowned, uncertainty etched on his face, but he didn't argue. He followed Jenna's lead, moving toward the ominous light with wary steps. As they reached the clearing, Jenna's breath caught. There stood an old fire pit, its stones weathered and cracked, remnants of ash scattered within. The firelight revealed something more horrifying, shapes etched in the dirt around the pit. Symbols. Diagrams of twisted forms and unnatural motions, recalling nightmares too heavy to articulate. What the hell is this? Mark's voice trembled. Jenna, I don't like this. I don't either, she admitted, swallowing hard. The laughter, not so distant now, curled around them, teasing at the back of her mind. Help me. The voice was clearer than ever, but there was something dissonant about it, echoing with an unnatural timbre that twisted beneath the surface like a hidden current. Lisa? Jenna shouted, hope mingled with dread. Where are you? And just as suddenly as it had arrived, the voice ceased. The silence fell heavy, pregnant with tense anticipation, as a gust of wind blew through the clearing, snuffing out the flickering glow like a snuffed candle. No! It escaped Jenna's lips as she staggered back, eyes wide with horror. They were engulfed by darkness. Get ready to run. Mark shouted, but the command lingered in the air, dripping with urgency. The growls began, a low, rumbling sound that resonated from all sides. It was primal, a beat of something ancient and hungry. Panic ignited inside Jenna. What is it? The growls crescendoed, blending into that maddening laughter. It was as if the forest had come alive, each limb and vine writhing as if to ensnare them, to pull them into its grasp. Wherever they turned, shadows danced menacingly. Back! Mark faced the trees, fists clenched. We need to move back. Their fragile safety unraveled beneath the overwhelming weight of the forest. Jenna felt it then, a weight against her chest, a chilling realization. They weren't alone. Something loomed, inching closer, forcing her to turn. And there it was, a monstrous silhouette carving through the shadows, filled with eyes, endless, hungry eyes. Run! Jenna roared, tearing back toward the path, her breath creating clouds in the thick air. But the laughter chased them, weaving around the trees, spiraling into their bones. Jenna, it's too fast. Mark gasped, struggling to keep pace as branches clawed at their backs. Then, a blinding light erupted ahead, a flash that pierced the darkness like a knife. What now? Mark asked, frozen in place, uncertainty shrouding his face. The light called to them, a siren song amid chaos. It sparked a flicker of hope, but part of Jenna was drawn to the shadows that encroached. Do we risk it? Mark's voice trembled, all bravado replaced by instinctual terror. Before Jenna could respond, the growling surged forward, the darkness collapsing around them. In that moment, as the forest roared its terrible promise, Jenna was left with one haunting question: would the darkness consume them, or would they find refuge in the light? The predator's laugh echoed behind them, louder, closer, ready to claim what it had chosen for its own. The blinding light pulsed like a heartbeat, stark against the encroaching shadows. Jenna's instincts blared warning alarms, battling with that flicker of hope. Go! She screamed, urging Mark forward. They sprinted toward the dazzling radiance, but the darkness twisted and clawed behind them. Mark stumbled, nearly losing his footing as branches snatched at him. What if it's a trap? He yelled, his voice strained. The laughter surged, wrapping around them like a noose, pressing tighter. Each step felt like a weight dragging them back into the abyss. Better a trap than that. Jenna could barely hear her own scream over the roar of panic clawing at her throat. They leapt into the light, and an otherworldly hush enveloped them. For a heartbeat, everything felt still. Jenna glanced around, breathing heavily. They stood in a ring of smooth, luminescent stones, the faint glow illuminating their surroundings. The air was thick, charged with an intoxicating energy that sent prickles along her skin. What is this place? Mark murmured, his wide eyes darting around, searching for danger. I don't know, Jenna confessed, heart pounding. But it's beautiful. Yet the forest wasn't done. From the darkness, tendrils writhed toward them, slithering like serpents. The growls grew more insistent, echoing with a hunger that clawed at their sanity. The ring of stones glowed brighter, threatening to shatter as the shadows lunged. Stay inside the circle, Jenna commanded, though she could feel the terror clawing at her insides. Her breaths came in rapid gulps, and her heart raced as she sensed panic overtaking Mark's resolve. But what if Lisa is out there? We can't abandon her. Each moment crackled with uncertainty. Shadows pressed against the edge of the light, their outlines swirling like oil in water. Jenna gripped her friend's arm, grounding them both in the moment. There's nothing we can do for her if we're dead. The shadows recoiled slightly, as if the light was a shield, holding them back. The laughter morphed into a deeper, sinister sound, weaving a web of malice between the trees. Jenna twisted, straining to see beneath the canopy where the tendrils writhed, taunting, waiting. Jenna, look! Mark shouted, pointing. A figure emerged from the darkness, bathed in the faint glow of the stones. It was small, fragile. Help me. Please. It was Lisa. Lisa. Jenna pushed against the urge to step outside the circle, torn between safety and the desperate plea of her friend. No. Stay here. Mark held her back, desperation flaring in his eyes. We don't know what they are capable of. Yet Lisa's eyes locked onto Jenna's, pleading, desperate. I'm scared. Please, I can't hold on much longer. The shadows pulsed around them, their growls morphing into an unsettling harmony, a terrifying chorus that harmonized with the frantic beat of Jenna's heart. Jenna. Time hung, suspended in the face of horror. The laughter dwindled into a malevolent whisper, urging them to step outside the circle, to relinquish safety for a fleeting promise. Jenna. Lisa's voice cracked, shattering the moment of stillness. You have to trust me. Please. Help me. With a surge of determination, Jenna freed herself from Mark's grip, bolting toward the edge of the light. The shadows whispered promises of release, their tendrils reaching ever closer, hungry. Jenna, no. Mark's voice was a vortex of fear. But Jenna lunged forward, crossing the threshold. As she did, a deafening roar erupted, the forest trembling. Danger was at her back, her friend's terrified face leading her further into the dark. Help me. Lisa cried again, hands extended pleadingly. Jenna hesitated, internal conflict raging, the shadows coiling around her. The grind of the world around them echoed eerily, growing louder and more ominous as she realized the truth about the darkness. It wasn't he just hunting for Lisa, it was hunting for her, and just as the gravitational pull of the shadows tightened, the ground beneath them shifted, as if the forest itself was alive and resentful of their intrusion. Then the ground shattered. What lay beneath? Was it salvation or doom? Jenna felt the world spin as she fell deeper into the unknown, darkness consuming her. And there, in the void, the whisper of the shadows grew impatient, urging, join us forever. The abyss yawned wide, hunger beckoning. What awaited her at the bottom? Answers or her worst nightmares? Jenna spiraled down through the darkness, the weightlessness of the fall robbing her of breath. Tendrils of blackness wrapped around her like cold fingers. The sound of her heartbeat thudded in her ears, drowning out everything but her mounting dread. Then, a jolt stopped her descent. She landed hard on a surface that felt alive. It pulsated beneath her, radiating a nauseating warmth that seeped into her bones. She glanced around, heart racing, catching glimpses of twisted forms shifting in the gloom. Was it the shadows? Or something worse? Jenna. The voice echoed off the damp walls of this hidden abyss. Mark's voice. A crude mixture of desperation and anger laced through the air. She strained to hear him, but the darkness swallowed his words, turning them into an unsettling whisper. The ground trembled, and Jenna scrambled to her feet, fighting a wave of panic. She was alone, no stones, no shimmering light, just the oppressive darkness closing in around her. She heard the distant growl, familiar yet more menacing than before, reverberating around the narrow tunnel. "Mark! Lisa!" she called, her voice trembling. "Can you hear me?" The echo faded, but then, amidst the thick air, she sensed movement. Shapes slid just beyond her line of sight, just out of reach, retreating only to re-emerge, like phantoms taunting her. Jenna took a step forward, heart pounding. A spark ignited her clarity. She couldn't let fear paralyze her, she needed to find their way out and fast. Behind her, a sound slithered through the darkness, a smooth, whispering hiss that sent shivers down her spine. It was too close. She stumbled back, the impending dread clenching around her throat. "Stay with us," the shadows seemed to croon, their voices a blend of sweet seduction and twisted malice. "Leave me alone," she screamed, and in that challenge, a gust of stale air whipped around her, momentarily revealing a glimmering figure, Lisa. But it was wrong. She was shifting, contorting, gnashing her teeth, unscripted horror stamped on her features. "Help me!" Lisa gasped, her expression morphing into an expression of terror. "Find the light, Jenna. You have to find it." Jenna's heart fought the instinct to run from the grotesque image of her friend. "I'm coming, Lisa," she cried back. "Hold on." She turned, determination surging within her. With every step further into the darkness, the pulsating entity beneath her feet seemed to grow stronger, feeding off her fear. Her breath quickened, eyes darting everywhere, scanning for signs of impending doom. "Jenna," the voice was a rasp now, a blend of familiar and monstrous, trying to lure her back. "Come back to us. Join us." "No," she shouted, anger fueling her bravery. She stumbled forward, feeling the damp ground shift beneath her. And then, just ahead, a faint glimmer caught her eye, the essence of light. The shadows howled, twisting violently, angered by her movement toward escape. Tendrils lunged at her, fierce and relentless. Jenna sprinted, adrenaline surging, desperation eclipsing the terror. Just as she reached for the spark of light, a scream split the air, echoing in a cacophony of anguish. It was Lisa, trapped somewhere beyond the veil of darkness. "Jenna!" Jenna didn't dare look back. She leaped toward the light, praying it wasn't a mirage, grasping at the chance for freedom. The tendrils lashed out, slicing the air, but her fingers brushed against the warmth of the glow. "I'm not afraid," she shouted, feeling the warmth envelop her, but then a vice-like grip clamped around her ankle, dragging her back. She fell, tumbling into a pit of shadow, the light above disappearing into a haze. As the world spun wildly, she felt the cold breath of fear on her neck, pulling her deeper into the darkness. What had she unleashed? What held her amidst this torment? Desperation flooded her thoughts, a sinking feeling that perhaps, just perhaps, the truth was far more sinister than even the shadows themselves. "Will you join us forever?" As Jenna's vision blurred, dread washed over her. What awaited at the heart of darkness? Would she listen to the shadows? Call her name? In the abyss, the answer hovered just out of reach, waiting for her to succumb. Jenna's fall came to an abrupt end. She hit the ground hard, the breath knocked from her lungs. Pain shot up her spine, but fear pushed her to move. Desperate gasps filled her throat as she scrambled to her feet. The darkness, thick and suffocating, swallowed her whole, and she fought against it with a primal instinct. "Mark! Lisa!" she screamed, the names escaping like a terrified chant. A low growl echoed in response, vibrating through the walls of despair that encrusted her. She felt the pulse of something alive beneath her feet, every throb syncopated with the pounding of her heart. She could see better now. The walls of the cavern shimmered in the shadowy light, casting grotesque shapes all around her. Some looked human, others monstrous, but all reached toward her, their fingers elongated and beckoning. She stumbled sideways, shielding herself with her arms. Help us! It was Lisa's voice, wavering and distorted, coming from the darkness beyond her. She turned, eyes wide with terror. Where are you? Jenna shouted, squinting into the gloom. I'm coming. The response was another anguished howl, echoing through the hollow space. That cry propelled her forward. She had to find Lisa. The shadows coiled tighter around her, thrumming with malevolence, as if aware of her intent. The moment she moved, the ground beneath her seemed to contract, like a beast aware of its prey. Jenna. It was Mark now, emerging from the side shadows, his face etched with panic. Get out of here. You can't stay. But how could she leave? Lisa needed her. No, I can't leave you both. She shouted, and the moment those words escaped her lips, the earth erupted in a cacophony of screams, twisted, tortured souls pleading for salvation or vengeance. The shadows twitched violently, illuminating the contours of their forms. Eyes gleamed with hunger, mouths gaped wide with delightful malice. If this was even their true shape, she darted toward Mark, but he staggered, stumbling back, brushing away the clawing shadows that raked at him. They're coming. He yelled, panic threading through his voice. We have to! A shriek cut through the air, and Jenna's gut twisted. It was deeper than fear, it was anguish. Lisa! She cried, turning towards the echo, but the shadows shrieked louder, warping her senses. She was surrounded by phantoms now, their faces morphing into something grotesque, something sinister. Join us, they hissed, each word dripping with dark intent. No, no. She pushed through the mass, her heart racing until it felt like it might explode. A vision flashed before her, a glimpse of Lisa, trapped, her eyes pleading, a specter of hope alongside the encroaching horror. Jenna glimpsed a silver shimmer, a beacon through the dark. Fight it, Jenna. Mark's voice cut through like a knife, reminding her of the solid ground beneath her. You're stronger than this. Gritting her teeth, Jenna forced herself forward, weaving past the desperate grasp of shadowy hands until she could lunge for the shimmer. But the shadows surged, a wave of torment overwhelming her senses. Arms, tendrils, grasping and pulling, dragging her back into the abyss. She screamed, panic tightening around her throat like a noose. Not again. I need the light. Then her fingers made contact with the cold metal of a relic. A necklace, glimmering with the last flicker of hope. The shadows recoiled, hissing as the light intensified. That's not for you. They yelled, their voices clawing at her soul. Jenna took a deep breath, the surge of defiance igniting her core. Yes, it is. She roared, and with all her strength she pulled at the necklace, but just before the shadows released their hold, the world tilted and she felt herself being pulled in every direction. The light flared bright. Her body felt weightless as she was thrust into a blinding radiance, the dark shrieks fading into a cacophony of rage and despair. Jenna shielded her eyes, heart pounding wildly as the light pulsed around her, trapping her between space and time. Will you embrace the darkness? Came a whisper, barely discernible. What did I awaken? She gasped as she teetered on the edge of reality. Shadows danced, wicked and wild, and her heart sank with a chilling realization. What if the light she grasped was merely another trap? The pulse of darkness swirled around her, tugging at her again. Could she trust the light, or would it lead her deeper into their grasp? As the shadows converged, the answer was a breath away and she was running out of time. Jenna awoke to a soft light breaking through the haze of darkness. The familiar chill of the forest wrapped around her, no growls, no laughter, but a silence heavy with dread. Is this a trick? She murmured, rubbing her eyes to focus. Memories flooded back, Lisa's terrified cries, Mark's desperate face, the darkness. Jenna. The frayed whisper of Mark yanked her from her thoughts. They were lying on the forest floor, warm golden rays spilling around them. The shadows that once haunted this place seemed subdued, defeated at last. Jenna sprang up. Mark. Are you okay? He groaned, pushing himself up, and their eyes met a flicker of hope amidst the unraveling panic. "Where's Lisa?" At the mention of Lisa, the air thickened. "I don't know. I thought we would find her here, but the forest felt different now." The emptiness felt unnatural, too calm. Tension hung like fog, lingering on the edges of their hearts. Maybe she's safe. Maybe she found a way out. Jenna wanted to believe those words. So many had left the forest, but she remembered the unsettling laugh, the voices beckoning them deeper. They almost succumbed. "We need to keep searching," she urged, determination igniting in her chest. With newfound purpose, they pressed deeper into the woods, carefully picking their way through the underbrush that felt both familiar and alien. The shadows, though diminished, still flickered at the corners of their vision, whispering tantalizing promises as they huddled beneath the ancient trees. But every step felt like an uphill battle. The forest loomed with uncertainty, a palpable tension that stretched far beyond the physical boundary. Sudden sounds, a rustle, a whisper sent their hearts racing. "What if they're waiting for us?" Mark's breath trembled as he glanced at the trees. Jenna felt her heart sink. "We can't think like that. We'll find Lisa. She needs us." As they stumbled through the undergrowth, fear echoed in their hearts, each lost moment feeling like a betrayal to their friend. Yet something primal also beckoned, adventure wrapped in hope, a flicker of defiance. Suddenly, Jenna stopped short, eyes wide as she spotted something on the ground, a delicate necklace, glimmering with an ethereal glow. She recognized it, a piece Lisa often wore. "Mark, look!" It was a beacon in the thick shadows. Even among the impending doom, it seemed to pulse with life. Hope surged. "We have to find her. This is a sign." Determination coursed through her veins as they sprinted in the direction she felt the pull, a mix of urgency and clarity guiding them through the maze of trees. Each step felt lighter than before, the malicious laughter of the forest fading behind them. "Over there." Mark pointed, and there beyond a gnarled oak, they saw her Lisa. She was sitting against a tree, her face illuminated by the faintest flicker of light. But it was as if she were shrouded in mist, the shadows seemed to cling to her like a shroud. "Lisa!" Jenna shouted, rushing toward her friend, arms stretching wide in relief. "You're okay." But Lisa's face was pale, the wild look in her eyes sending a shiver down Jenna's spine. They want you," she whispered. Still. The forest felt alive around them, energies pulsing like a heartbeat, drawing closer. Jenna hesitated, dread bubbling beneath her resolve. "What do you mean?" "We're here. We're getting you out." But the shadows laughed again, louder this time, a chill sending prickles down Jenna's back. "They'll come for you, even now. They always do." Mark stepped forward, protective urgency flashing in his eyes. "Then we have to leave now." But Lisa's gaze faltered, her voice broken. "No, Jenna. The darkness, I can feel it. Its hunger is insatiable." "No." Jenna shook her head vehemently. "We'll face it together. We're stronger." She reached for Lisa's hand, pulling her toward the exit they sought, the way out that felt so close yet so far. As they started to leave, the shadows began to swarm, rising in whirlwinds around them, and Jenna felt her courage wavering. "Hold on. Don't let go, please." In that moment, Lisa's grip tightened. "You're my light," she whispered, her eyes shining. "It's not too late." Jenna's heart swelled. With one last surge of will, they broke through the darkness together. The trees drew back, revealing the path shrouded in light, the echoes of laughter fading into the distance. They emerged into the clearing where the first rays of dawn kissed the horizon, bright against the fading night. Breathless, they stumbled forward, light flooding through the remnants of shadow. The sun shone brilliantly behind them, illuminating their way forward. The light shattered the remnants of darkness, dispelling it as they crossed over into safety. "I can't believe we made it," Jenna whispered, tears flooding her eyes, relief pouring through her soul. Lisa smiled faintly, the tension in her face easing. You were the light we needed. Mark pulled them both into a fierce hug. We did it. We all did it together. And as the first beams of sunlight cut through the woods, Jenna looked back, the shadows retreating into the twisted trees. Thank you for holding on. Thank you for believing. The darkness was still there, lurking an ever-present threat, but now it was just that, darkness. Not a conqueror, but something they could challenge. They emerged battered but not broken, and the weight of their fear slowly lifted. As they walked into the dawn, they knew they carried the power of friendship and hope with them, stronger together, brighter than any looming darkness they might ever face again. This was not the end, it was only the beginning of healing, and their story would ripple beyond the forest, a testament to survival, courage, and the strength found in unity. Now, let us not forget. If you've loved this journey with Jenna, Mark, and Lisa, subscribe immediately to keep up with exclusive stories just like this. Smash that like button now to help us feed the algorithm and spread the thrills. And flood the comments section with your theories about this ending. What do you think lies ahead for our characters? Your support truly matters. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to bask in the glow of this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to support us. Only true fans know how important this is.